Now, we've been telling you all week that one of the big problems really facing us here right now is a lack of medical supplies, especially ventilators. People who get hospitalized with severe coronavirus cases, they need those to breathe. So the president is using the Defense Production Act to get General Motors to make more for us. So how exactly does that even work? Let's break it down.
You've probably been hearing about the Defense Production Act a lot that President Trump just invoked. So what is it, and how did we get here? Let's crack open the history books for a minute. During World War II, FDR signed the War Powers Act of 1941, right after the attack on Pearl Harbor. It gave the executive branch a lot of power, including forcing industries to make weapons and other things for the war. But a lot of that power went away after World War II. When the Korean War broke out, the Truman administration decided they needed something like that again, so they came up with the Defense Production Act of 1950. Basically, it lets the president force businesses to make products that are, as the act puts it, deemed necessary or appropriate to promote the national defense. Okay, this sounds a lot like military stuff though, right? So why is everyone talking about it now? Well, the act has been used off and on throughout history, and not just during wars. President Obama used it to respond to Chinese cyber spying, and President Trump actually used it in 2017 to create technology for stuff in the space industry, like satellites. So now, under the Act, he has the power to force companies to make critical medical equipment like ventilators and PPE, which is what he's doing now, to compel General Motors to manufacture ventilators. And that's how we got here.